Welcome to Between the Panels, where sometimes the story isn't the hero or the villain. It's the stuff they're trying to sell you. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we dive into the weird ads, let's start with what drew us in the first place. The art, the covers, the splash pages. The colors leap off the page. This is the chaos, the drama, the pure visual fun that kept us flipping through every issue. And yeah, eventually led us to those crazy ads. Forever X-Men. Forever mutants. Forever giving artists a reason to draw explosions. Fantastic Four 171. Gore shows up here. Wonder how they got that name. Well, despite Gore's best intentions, my intention is to stick with these comic book ads. Muscles in 7 minutes, kung fu in 3 hours, and abs on your forehead. I'm in, man. Dared me to put Daredevil in here, so I did it. Murder Cries the Mandrill really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? More karate, more martial arts. I'll be a ninja by the time this is over with. The Uncanny X-Men 211. Another day, another epic standoff, another excuse to see Wolverine's claws. Let's see how he deals with those sea monkeys. It's encouraging to know that some of the finest aerospace and infrastructure, the technology designs, all came from drafting that was learned within the pages of the comic books. Wonder Woman doesn't have time for that, but what she does have time for is to work as an indentured servant and selling who knows what for prizes. Sell 8 million greeting cards or some other unnatural act. That's how you get a transistor radio on this contest. Speaking of unnatural acts, here's another X-Men issue. Hopefully the X-Men got Olympic sales in Captain O for their corrupt practices. Those Uncanny X-Men are really what got me into comic books back in the 1980s. You know, back in the day, Tron came out on the Intellivision. And by came out, well anyways, it looked like someone shoved a neon spaghetti monster into a gray box and called it a game. You'd squint at the screen and say, is that a light cycle or am I having a seizure? Either way, it was somehow cool, thrilling, and completely incomprehensible. Exactly like most of these comic book ads, actually. In a future video, I'm going to be diving into video games, the actual gameplay, the weird controllers, the instructions that make zero sense, and the ads, the comic book ads that promise you'll become a master by lunchtime. Trust me, you won't. And you don't want to miss this video, so hit that subscribe button now, unless you want to miss out on pure 80s chaos. So let's talk about one, Tutankhamun. You know, that classic game for Atari that no one ever played, and other consoles you swore you never tell your parents about. You're supposed to explore tombs, dodge traps, collect treasures, except the graphics look like a sandstorm threw up on your screen. And the controls, somehow it was both impossible and addictive, just like those comic book ads promising you a karate body in 7 days. Karate body. TSR. That stands for Tactical Studies Rules, the company that originally published Dungeons & Dragons and other tabletop RPG games. These are things I don't really know anything about. But what I do know is when you would see these ads for D&D and TSR games, and this one here, Star Frontiers, with the weird little characters and stuff, it just made you want to play them. I never played them, but I wanted to. I will someday. Marvel in the 80s and 90s, oh man, they had the roster. X-Men, Spider-Man, the whole gang. But somehow sales were tricky, the market was unpredictable, and every other week it felt like a new crossover was supposed to save everything. Despite all the talent, sometimes it seemed like even Stan Lee couldn't keep the lights on. And yet, we all know how it ended up. Somehow, through sheer mutant luck, they became a cinematic empire. Not bad for a company that once panicked over too many Wolverine spin-offs. And that Deadpool shit. Uncanny X-Men 170, also known as Dancing in the Dark, and no, it's not an 80s disco special. Although the plot gets weird fast, this crew is trapped underground with the Morlocks. Storm ends up in a knife fight for leadership, Angel's tied up looking less than grateful, Nightcrawler's probably asking himself why he wore red that day. It's like Survivor Mutant Edition, but with more dramatic hair and less logic. And honestly, the ads on those pages were way more coherent than this plotline. And then you turn the page, bam, full page ad for Lock and Chase on the Intellivision, because nothing says mutant knife fight in underground tunnels like tiny little pixel cops chasing tiny little pixel robbers through a maze. Now in television, this was the console that proudly told you our graphics are more realistic, which is cool because everything still looked like it was made out of refrigerator magnets. The ad, though, this ad made this thing look like a high stakes crime thriller. Sirens, tension, strategy. You're thinking this is basically Heat in a maze. In reality, the gameplay is you running around corridors, slamming doors behind you like you're late for work, and the robbers are mildly confused coworkers. But the ad sells it like tactical law enforcement for the future. And honestly, I believed it. I totally believed it. Way more than whatever Storm and the Morlocks were arguing about on the previous page. Now, here's the ad that nobody wants to talk about. Trying to avoid these ads was like when you were looking at a magazine that you weren't supposed to look at, and you were trying not to look at things that you didn't want to see, if you know what I mean. And of course, I'm talking about comic book resellers. Page after page of listings, back issues, rare issues, must-have issues, little black and white grids that felt like secret menus for nerds. Yes, of course, there was cool stuff in there. Hats with wings and how to get taller and how to draw superheroes and make other ads to sell your comic books to people, probably. I don't know. So as your eyes navigate the corridors of these comic book advertisements, you think you're safe as you seek the ninja stars and the plans to turn vacuum cleaners into robots for less than $5, avoiding all the reselling and everything else. And then, boom, this guy hits you, the Bubba Yum Kid. Oh, here's something different. Convention, famous writers, artists, and then you read the fine print, and it's just more comic books, more reprints, more old comic books for sale. I mean, I'm sure there were some cool events and everything, but it's more comic books. Here's instructions on how to build your own pyramid scheme. This ad for rock shirts is pretty interesting. Over 75 designs. There was like 8 bands at the time. I'm pretty disappointed that the Monkees, Deep Purple, or Black Sabbath aren't on this list. But I am happy that you could get 15 shirts for $20. Okay, now this ad is amazing. You can become a hypnotist, no prior hypnotic training needed, no electronic knowledge needed. You don't even have to send money, except you have to send money, $3, or give money to the postman, but no money. I don't know how that works. You'd have to be an idiot to fall for this hypnotism thing. Hold on for a second. Oh, hey, postman, here's more money for Elton. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dollars. Or give money to the postman. But no money. I don't know how that works. You'd have to be an idiot to fall for this hypnotism thing. Hold on for a second. Oh, hey, postman, here's more money for Elton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
What I've learned about this era of comic books by looking through the ads is, well, first and foremost, that they had a lot of extra comic books that they were trying to sell. They were trying to sell the lists of comic books. They would give the lists away. They give the bags away. They give everything away but the comic books, the ample supply of comic books. But there's more. You can be a slam dunker, a real elevator man. Finish high school right here, right in the comic book pages. It seems kind of fitting that the X-Men, being uncanny, unusual, being different, being accepted, they fit right in with these ads. It's just an all strange combination that makes sense. Here's a classic ad right here. So here's comic books selling comic books again. Go figure. And then you get Kingpin. I assume this is Kingpin. Sure looks like him, right? And then you got Lando Calrissian or Lionel Richie, I don't know which one it is, and then the Pie Man over here. Who's this Pie guy? Does anybody know who these people are? Anyways, comic book ads, amazing. $14.95, and I'm basically a professional commercial fisherman. You know, with $32, I'm a draftsman, a mechanical drawer. I've got my high school diploma. I got abs for days. I know karate. The only problem is in 1984, $32.95 took about 7 years to save. Charles Atlas is one of the most infamous, famous advertisers of comic books. Legend. Here's the story of Mac, a tiny little man who got sand kicked in his face at the beach. Mind you, this is after he lost all his money buying some fishing poles from a comic book. Well, you have to give Charles Atlas and Mac credit, because Mac goes back for revenge once he gets his Atlas muscles and slaps the guy for kicking sand in his face. I wonder if he ever found his fishing poles or his live bait.
Stop it! Please stop it.
We've seen a lot of karate, kung fu, self-protection, but this might be the most dangerous one of all. You may have to register your hands as lethal weapons. It's free. Here's the best part. You'll learn karate in 24 hours, perfectly free. You just need to mail the money in an envelope. And then you may have to register your hands with your local police department. Years later, I would work in the industry, in the media and entertainment industry, on the finance side, but I worked with Disney and Marvel pre and post merger. But what I learned more about these companies was from these comic books. I formulated a plan. I was going to become a good paid action motorcycle mechanic. And I would make extra income making engraved Social Security plates, because those are in high demand. They always have been. I'm going to Captain O Olympic Sales directly, and then I'm going to negotiate a cash buyout for these prizes. Give me these cassette players, the bicycle, all of it. Give me a cash price. I'm doing a one-time buyout. And if they bring in Kingpin, Lionel Richie, Pie Man, this weird rap group, comic book reselling trio to try to, mess with my negotiations, I got my own backup. I'm a karate master. Hands unregistered with the local police. I got the Star Frontiers guys from Tactical Studies Rules to back me up. And I'm a slam dunker, a real elevator man. I've mastered Tron and Tutankhamun. And listen, if all else fails, I'm a professional draftsman. Well, that's what we got for now. We got a lot more to cover, more comics, more comic book ads, weirder comic book ads, VHS, music, movies, all types of nostalgia, video games. But for now, while I'm waiting on my draftsman degree to come in the mail, it's been about 37 years now, I'm going to see if this rap group has any openings. Hey, if you like what you saw here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments. Thanks. This is Jake. Analog treatment in the physical hell. Analog treatment in the physical hell. Analog treatment in the physical hell.